Good morning. It is September the 26th. This is episode 130. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. If you are watching this on YouTube, welcome. If you're here in our live show, welcome as well. If you are watching this as a YouTube short, just click the link in the description and you'll come right to the show and you can participate as well. Today we have a big show for you today. Of course, we're starting the meeting now. Bob is going to talk about our security news update. He's then going to talk about how to speed up Windows. Hey, that sounds cool. I'll be talking about a brand new video coming out, 2 new medical apps on the Fitbit Sense and the Apple Watch. Hewie's got website of the week, and Bob is going to tell you, has your medical device been hacked? And Ray, of course, is going to finish up with his music and then our question and answer period. So we have a good show for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it. Further to that, we have our premiere service. This will occur at hour on YouTube. I'll be putting the link in the show notes. And today, I'm going to be talking about the video I want you to watch before you watch the video today. It's called Your Heart and Your Watch. And that's important that you watch this before the video today, but you can do it reverse order. Hewie's going to talk about screen and font size, which I think is very interesting. He did that a year ago. And Bob is going to tell you the difference between a VPN and GPN. Did you know that? So I have no idea what a GPN is, but he's going to tell you what the difference is. That's all coming up at hour, which is our premiere service. Now, we also, this week coming up on Thursday, we have Tech for Senior Live. The usual gang will be there, and it's not a Zoom meeting. This is a live meeting we have, and we broadcast it from StreamYard out to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. This is all the news articles of the week that we go over and talk about. Now, we have so much fun doing this show, we never really get to the end of the articles, do we? We sort of, we have really lots of fun doing this. So if you want to join us, it's very popular. We're getting now about 200 people listening to the show. So it's certainly fun to do, and we'll be doing that on Thursday with a follow-up. And we podcast that out actually on the Friday. And if you want to keep track of all the happenings that we're doing in some of the 750 videos that we have up, we have a newsletter out. It comes out on Tuesday and Saturday. And on Saturday, I actually put in what the agenda is so you can watch and see what we're going to talk about on Monday. So if you haven't signed up to our newsletter, Bob and I know who you are because we sat here last Monday when the meeting was canceled, and Bob and I got your names. We wrote them all down, didn't we, Bob? All those people that logged in and said, I didn't know there wasn't a meeting, and you didn't read the newsletter, right, Bob?
You got that one right.
So we know who you are.
Yeah, just one more notice. What wasn't mentioned, I'll also be showing you how to set up crash detection if you have a Pixel phone.
That's right. That's right. You will do that as well. So we have lots of things to talk about today, but I want to first introduce our staff and our good friends of ours. We all know everybody, but of course, right in the brunt of the hurricane that's coming is Hewie Poplack. Hewie, you've got your life preserver on. What's happening there?
So I'm bringing stuff in from outside so they don't act as missiles in the neighborhood. So it's just getting ready, and it's nice and sunny and hot. It's in 85 today. So today is beautiful, but tomorrow the rains start, and Wednesday we're going to get hit.
Well, you probably don't remember, but we've been doing this. This is the 130th episode of this show, right? We've been doing this for 3 years. You have actually been through a hurricane before. And yep. I can remember we did a show and you were actually in the middle of the hurricane and things were howling and everything. And we actually did the show and you were there, right?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as this is expected to be.
Is that right? Okay. All right. So, all right, well, you take care now. And of course, we have our security expert and expert of all, Mr. Bob Gostisha. He is from Los Lunas, New Mexico. He is here today, and he's a regular contributor as well as a cornerstone on our Thursday show. Right, Bob?
Good morning. It's
Yes.
nice to be here.
Yes. Now, do you have any disasters happening in Los Lunas? Are you okay up there?
No disasters outside of the fact I'm still getting up every morning.
Well, that's good news. That's good news. Yeah. And that's great. And you're going to tell us about crash detection.
Yeah, let's hope we never get to use it, but you should have it set up, because if it's not set up, guaranteed it won't work.
That's true. And it's not personal experience then.
No, I just set it up. And as you'll find out, it isn't 100% foolproof either.
Really? Uh-oh. All right. Well, we look forward to that video. And of course, Ray Baxter, who is our musical director, and he's going to have a surprise musical selection for us today. He's also a regular on our Thursday show as well. Good friend of ours, a really nice guy, president of APCU. I could go on and on and on, but Ray Baxter, how the heck are you? Yeah, right.
I'm out.
Pine, Arizona. Are you safe in Pine, Arizona? What's happening up in?
Oh yeah, well, we're doing all right. I've often said I don't think there's any place on the planet that you can live that at some point in time is not subject to a natural disaster. And when I lived in California, obviously it was earthquakes. I had my share of hurricanes in New York State. So now we have to worry about fires. So there's always something going on. You just pray for everybody and make sure we all stay safe as we can.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, indeed. This is coming up a busy month in October. Of course, it's cybersecurity month, Bob.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Yeah. I noticed that Bill James has also joined us.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Where the heck is Bill? I don't even see
Here
him.
he is.
He's here.
Is he stuck in the back?
Good morning, all.
Line 3
Good
on my
morning.
Welcome, Bill. Welcome, Bill. Bill, of course, is on our staff as well, and he's a regular contributor. And
I just finished my Windows 11 class.
Okay, great, good. And he, of course, is a Windows 11 instructor, which is great. And he also is our gadget guy and has a regular article on our Tuesday newsletter on all the new gadgets. And I've bought a lot of your gadgets. I must tell you honestly, Bill, my wife has said I can't buy any more of your gadgets. She's put the foot down on that one for a while anyway. But we'll see. But anyway, lots of fun. And you are, of course, come with us on Thursday as well for our Thursday show.
Yes.
Excellent. How did the classes go? Pretty good?
Classes are going well. They're 4 weeks. So this is the last one for this week, this month, this session. So it's been good.
All right. Bob, are you ready to roll?
I believe I am.
I think I see a familiar.
If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending September 23rd, 2022. GTA 6 footage leaks online. This week, in one of the biggest leaks in video game history, a GTA forums user by the name of TeapotTuber Hacker posted 90 videos from the test build of Grand Theft Auto 6. Gameplay scenes include a waffle shop robbery, some Vice City locations, and 2 playable characters. The clips have been shared and eventually made their way onto YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, and other sites. The hacker also claims to have stolen GTA 5 and 6 source codes. According to the information available, said Avast security evangelist Louis Carones, the attacker belongs to the original group Lapsus, known for compromising big tech companies such as Microsoft, NVIDIA, Samsung, and more recently Uber. This group suffered a number of arrests a few months back, but it is clear some of their members are still at large. Hopefully not for long. Rockstar Game confirmed the hack, and the FBI continues to investigate. For more on this story, see PC Gamer or watch my video on this breach at the YouTube link listed. There appears to be a shaky cam bug in iPhone 14 Pro. Apple says it will be releasing a fix next week for a bug in iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max models where the footage taken with the rear camera shakes uncontrollably when used in conjunction with a third-party platform, such as Snapchat or TikTok. We're aware of the issue and a fix will be released next week, an Apple spokesman told CNN. With a starting price of $999, the Pro models feature the first 48-megapixel camera as well as several other new features. The devices are in such high demand that Apple had to reduce production of its standard iPhone 14 in order to make more Pro models, according to the recent tweets from an Apple analyst. See more at CNN Business. European Media Freedom Act safeguards independence. Last week, the European Commission adopted a European Media Freedom Act, a set of rules focused on protecting independent media in the EU. The act prevents government entities from interfering in editorial decisions, safeguards against surveillance, and creates a new independent European board for media services, to be filled with national media authorities. It puts a focus on the stable funding of public service media and requires that transparency and media ownership and the allocation of state advertising. Read the full press release for more details. Morgan Stanley pays $35 million security penalty. On Tuesday, Morgan Stanley agreed to pay $35 million to the Securities and Exchange Commission as penalty for data security lapses, including the improper disposal of thousands of hard drives containing customer data. Some of the hard drives were resold on auction websites without the data having been wiped first. According to the SEC, data for 15 million customers was exposed in what was an extensive failure over a 5-year period. The security lapses were first discovered when an IT consultant in Oklahoma contacted Morgan Stanley to say he had just purchased a drive that happened to have their customers' data on it. Get the full story at Ars Technica. American Airlines hack exposes employee data. In a notice of security incident sent to employees, American Airlines acknowledged a cyber attack that put their team members' personal information at risk. The personal information involved in this incident may have included your name, date of birth, mailing address, phone number, email address, driver's license number, passport number, and or certain medical information you provided, the disclosure read. An American Airlines senior manager commented that the breach began with a phishing campaign that resulted in the exposure of a very small number of customers and employees' personal information. For more, see Cyberscoop. 15-year-old unpatched Python vulnerability may affect over 350,000 projects. As many as 350,000 open-source projects are believed to be potentially vulnerable to exploitation as a result of a security flaw in a Python module that has remained unpatched for 15 years. The open source repositories span a number of industry verticals such as software development, artificial intelligence, machine learning, web development, media, security, and IT management. The shortcoming, tracked as CVE 2007-4559, CVSS score 6.8, is rooted in the tar file module, successful exploitation of which could lead to code execution from an arbitrary file write. Read the whole article at the Hacker News. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. Roughly a third of all connected medical devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that make them ripe for exploits. Here's what you can do to keep your medical devices safe. Read the article at the link listed or watch my video on this topic at the YouTube link listed. That wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. Just a little update. The young fella who was responsible for that first breach has already been caught. And those of you with the Apple who had that problem with the camera, Apple has patched and released an update. So make sure if you still have the problem that you do your update. Let's spend about 60 seconds to speed up your Windows computer. And since the startup depends on how much crap you allow your system to load when it first starts, that's where we're going to start with speeding up Windows. Let's start by selecting the Start button, then go to Settings. Next, we want to go to Apps, and we're looking for Startup. And this is where you find all the things that start when Windows first starts. And do you really need everything to start when Windows starts? Let's take a little closer look. Yes, I want my antivirus to be there when it starts, but I don't need the driver updater to also start when the computer starts. So let's turn that one off, especially since it has a high impact. Next, Epson status monitor. Don't really have to have it there. Everything, I wouldn't have my computer unless everything was running. Fastest way I know to search for anything. Logitech Download Assistant, no, I don't need that. Not when the system starts. I also don't need the phone link to be there when it first starts. If I want it, I can always turn it on. Slack, it's nice when it's there, but I can start it once I actually want to see what's going on in Slack. So let's turn that off. Zoom meetings, if I have a Zoom meeting, I can always turn this on. So this doesn't have to start at the time that the system itself starts. That's shut down quite a bit of stuff, and that should make the computer a bit faster when it starts. Next thing to do is to test it and see, did it really make a difference? I'll be back and let you know in a second. So I've restarted the computer. I don't notice a great big difference, but there was a difference in the amount of time it took for the computer to actually start up. So yes, it does help when you get rid of the crap that you have starting up at the time the computer first starts. The fewer programs that start when the system starts, the quicker your system will start. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps.
Thanks. Thanks, Bob. Good advice. Something we all should be looking for in our start menu and make sure that we control what starts up there, because I imagine probably historically as well, if you've upgraded Windows 11 from Windows 10, I mean, it's just going to keep adding stuff in there, right?
Yeah, and many programs automatically want to start when your system starts.
Mhm.
And if you didn't catch it when you first installed the program, occasionally it makes good sense to go back and review what actually starts when the system starts.
Right. Good stuff. Thanks. Thanks so much. We'll be hearing from you later on in the show, I think.
You will.
All right. All right. So the next segment is mine. This is a new video I've just created. It's on the Apple Watch and the Fitbit Sense, and it has to do with atrial fibrillation. You know, I talk about this an awful lot. So it is a new feature that has just come out on the Apple Watch about with OS 9. So it just came out last week, and it has been out on the Fitbit Sense for a couple of months. It's a bit technical, and that's why I asked that everybody watch, and it'll be in the video as well, that you watch the first video that I made, because then it makes more sense. One of the problems that we're getting into now, particularly as we get more health apps that are being used on these watches, are most articles in the news are reviewed by reporters, and they don't understand what the technical issues or medical issues are about these devices. So I'm trying to clarify exactly what these terminologies are. So I haven't labeled this. I haven't put a name on it yet. You're the first people who have ever seen it. And I hope in the question and answer, you can give me some feedback. I really wanted to try and make this perfectly clear. So let's have a look at it and see what you... 2 new health apps have just been released that can save you from a catastrophic event. In this video, I'll tell you what those are and how to use them. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. As a physician, I am so excited about these 2 new apps, as these can prevent serious health complications. Let's go over these and I'll explain how they work. In this video, we're going to talk a lot about atrial fibrillation. You may not know what that is. I want you to go back and watch a video I made called Your Heart and Your Smartwatch. I'll put the link up here and down below in the description. Please watch that video before you watch this one. If you watched my video, Your Heart and Your Watch, then you will understand that atrial fibrillation can be diagnosed with the ECG app on your phone. Now, you have to have symptoms. So what would happen is you might feel your chest palpitating, your heart rate going up. You then think this could be atrial fibrillation. You then activate the ECG app on your watch, and it does what we call an ECG. But the important thing is it interprets it and will tell you if you have atrial fibrillation or you do not. This saves it as in your health app and will be available to email or send to your healthcare provider. Now, there are 3 watches that do this. The Apple Watch does it, the Galaxy Watch 4 and Galaxy Watch 5 do it, and of course the Fitbit Sense line does this as well. So all 3 watches have been cleared by the FDA for one specific purpose. It doesn't tell you if you're having a heart attack, doesn't tell you if you need to go to the hospital. It only tells you if you have atrial fibrillation. And that is all that app does. When we expand this into the new app that is occurring on the Apple Watch and the Fitbit Sense, we're now monitoring your heart on a periodic basis through the day. This often occurs at night when you're sleeping because you're not active. It's harder to do the ECG when you're active. But periodically, both these watches are going to sample your heart rate and notify you if you have any periods of atrial fibrillation. Will it get all the rates? No. Will it turn on automatically when you actually have a period of atrial fibrillation and don't know you have it? Probably not. What they do is they randomly sample through the day and look for atrial fibrillation. All right, there are 2 new features that have been released for the Apple Watch OS 9. The operating system 9 has two distinct and separate features to do with atrial fibrillation. Now, there are two groups of patients. First, there are the patients that do not know they have atrial fibrillation. We know that atrial fibrillation over the age of 60 goes up exponentially, so it is very common. It is also the third commonest cause of stroke in the United States. The problem is patients don't know they have atrial fibrillation because it can be asymptomatic, which really means you don't have any symptoms and don't know you have it. Irregular rhythm notification is a separate feature from atrial fibrillation history. Irregular rhythm notification is for people who don't know they have atrial fibrillation. They just want their heart monitored to figure out if this is a problem. The atrial fibrillation history feature is for people who have been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. So the two are quite different. In fact, you can't have both activated at one time. So the irregular rhythm notification samples your heartbeat through the day, most of the time at rest because it's easier to diagnose, and looks for atrial fibrillation. If it finds that you have periods of atrial fibrillation, it'll say, hey, you have atrial fibrillation and you need to go to your healthcare provider and get this sorted out. There's a second group of patients who have been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation and know they have the atrial fibrillation. These patients will be under medical supervision and want to know how long they're in atrial fibrillation, what are aggravating factors, and how they can get out of atrial fibrillation. For those patients, there's a second app called Atrial Fibrillation History that we'll talk about now. So we now have the ability on the Apple Watch to enable the atrial fibrillation history feature if you have been given the diagnosis of atrial fibrillation. This will provide you with a weekly update on the deeper insights pertaining to your condition. You will be able to view an estimate of the frequency with which your heart rhythm displays signs of atrial fibrillation, as well as the impact that other factors such as exercise, sleep, alcohol consumption have on your atrial fibrillation. You also have access to a comprehensive history through the Health app with the option to download the PDF and send the information to your healthcare provider. Now, Apple has identified that this feature is available in Canada and the United States and will be approved shortly in many other countries around the world. So in summary, there are two apps on the Apple Watch. The first is irregular heart rate notification. This is where your watch will sample your heart rate periodically through the day and night. It's going to then notify you if it picks up any evidence of atrial fibrillation. Now, it usually monitors your rate when you're at rest, so it is so important that you wear your watch on a 24-hour basis. The second feature is, of course, the atrial fibrillation history. This is for people who do have atrial fibrillation, and this will monitor how long they're in atrial fibrillation and also what activity they were doing when they were having atrial fibrillation. This then compiles this over the week and gives you a report which you can share with your healthcare provider. So these two apps work quite differently and cannot be used together. Well, this is a good time to pause the video. At Tech for Senior, we make a lot of videos about your health. We would sure appreciate it if you could give us that, like and subscribe, as it helps us continue making high quality videos like you're watching today. So please click that button and do a subscribe. Let's get on with the video. Now, unlike the Apple Watch, the Fitbit series only monitors you for atrial fibrillation periodically. It does the irregular heart rate notification, and it randomly samples you through the day and night, just like the Apple Watch does. It doesn't specifically look for atrial fibrillation. It's going to sample you at certain times of the day and check and see if you had any history of atrial fibrillation in that time. So it's so important with these watches that you wear them overnight, because a lot of the sound at night. One of the big advantages of the Fitbit app, 2021, when Fitbit did their big study with 500,000 people to look for atrial fibrillation, they used pretty much the whole Fitbit line. So the irregular heart notification on the Fitbit line will work with most Fitbit watches. That is really a big factor here. And I will put in the bottom notes all the watches that it will work on. Now, this is simply an app upgrade on your smartwatch. So you need to go to the Fitbit app and see if there is an update. And if there is, then the update will ask you if you want to activate the irregular heart rhythm notification. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. Once it's activated, then it's periodically going to check you through the day and night and notify you if there's any episodes of atrial fibrillation. But as I said earlier, this will work on not just the Fitbit Sense, which does the unique ECG. This actually will work on the whole product line, which is really great. So let me show you how this all works out. When you update the Fitbit app, you'll be presented with this menu, irregular rhythm notification. If you have a prior diagnosis of atrial fibrillation or are under the age of 22, then you're not allowed to use this app. This is an app that you will use if you are asymptomatic and looking for atrial fibrillation. This is going to do the periodic monitoring of your heart, as I outlined in the previous section. Let's complete the application process. Verify eligibility. Let's put your date of birth and whether you have a history of atrial fibrillation. I qualify, have completed this, and agree. So I click the I agree, and then it discusses how the app works. I'll click next. And what to do if you receive a notification. Well, we've read that and we'll turn it on. And there's 4 things to note. If you don't get notification, it's still possible to have atrial fibrillation. Some people with AFib don't experience symptoms. And of course, Fitbit is only checking for atrial fibrillation, not a heart attack or stroke. All set and you're done. Just click that. Now it gives you more information about the atrial fibrillation app and how it works. And you're all done. Well, it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you do have the Apple Watch or the Fitbit Sense series or any of the Fitbit line, please activate those apps and see if you have atrial fibrillation. This is particularly important if you're over the age of 60 because we want to prevent that stroke from happening. We also make a lot more health videos. If you want to watch these, they're on our Tech for Senior channel. Till we see you again, have a great day. All right, so we'll see if we have any comments or suggestions on that in the question and answer. Hewie, are you ready to roll?
I'm absolutely ready. And let's start.
Tech for Seniors present the website of the week with Hewie Poplock.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Website of the week number 15. I'm Hewie Poplock. Tell your story with illustrations using blush.design. Tell your story with illustrations. Easily create and customize stunning illustrations with collections made by artists across the globe. Try it. It's kind of fun. So how does Blush make designing your projects simple and fun? One, you choose a style. Choose a collection from multiple styles and themes made by artists around the world. Two, customize the art. Play around with variations until you create the art that tells your story. Three, use on your design. Download a PNG or an SVG of your creation and use it in your web app, presentation, or any project you want to bring to life. And here is Blush.design in action. And we're going to demonstrate it, but this is a video they did, so I thought I'd show that to you first. Very easy to use. Blush.design is free, and you get unlimited downloads, and you can save up to 5 designs for reuse, but you can use it all you want. And if you want to go with the Pro plan, and that's per year, it's $12 a month. If you do it by the month, it's $20 a month. But the free should do what most of you want to use it for. So let's go to the website and try Blush.design. We're on the home page right now. As we scroll down, we can see that we can try new collections or from the community. First of all, though, I am signed in. I created an account, a free account, but you don't have to. But if you want to create an account, all it requires is a username, which would be your email address, and a password. They don't ask for any other information. So I can try new collections and I can try from the community. Try the new collections first. We're going to look at one section. Right now I'm going to go to the avatars. And what you can do now is create an avatar. And let's take this default right here, and it gives us an avatar. But it certainly doesn't look like me, and it may not look like you. First of all, we can change the hair. You can see over here, these are all the things that you can change and make it your own. So we're going to play around with this and come up with something that might be suitable for me, and then you can play around with it and find something suitable for you. So let's look at the hair first. I'm going to pick white hair, even though mine's probably more salt and pepper. That's not the style I'm going to use, but that's the color I want. Skin color, I'm probably a little lighter than that. Let's pick a blue. All right, the next one would be the nose. What kind of nose do we want? We've got 3 choices here. One, let's pick that one. And then for the clothing, what do we want? Well, I could have a bow tie. We can have female clothing, young people's clothing. I'm going to pick the tie. How about the mouth? Let's see. What do we have for choices here? I like that. All right, the eyes. Yeah, that looks good. And then the eyebrows, or they call it the outline. Yeah, we'll go with that, but then we're going to put some facial hair. Let's do the beard. And now we got to change the hairstyle. Now that's not quite me. That would be better. And I usually wear glasses. We now have an avatar. Let me download that. And the only choice on the free version is a small PNG, which is right here. They call it default PNG. And we'll go back and we'll look at it in a little bit. So there's one possibility for us. And go back to the first page and come down here under from the community. And there was one with a computer that I wanted to try. So let's take a look at this one. And that one is the one I'm talking about. This one might not be too bad either. Let's go ahead and try this one, and we're going to edit it. What do we want for a background? Let's try that. The chair I think is good, but we could have different kinds of chairs. Let's just take a look. But I do like that chair better. And then click on the sitting. Certainly that wouldn't be me with shorts on. So let's see what we have for choices here. So let's try this. Okay. Okay, and what about the hair? Certainly is not my hair. That looks good. We have different facial expressions. No, this would be more me. And glasses, we'll put some glasses on me. Okay, so let's say we choose that one, and we're going to download it. Use it as a small PNG as well. So we've got two now that we've downloaded. So now what are we going to do with those? We now have two graphics that we created using blush.design. Now what can we do with those? Well, one of the things that you could do would be to use them in a PowerPoint presentation. Another might be just to have them in some kind of documentation that you're doing, but it gives you the ability to use your own graphic rather than try to find one online. Let's create a signature for our emails. So we can decide which one of these two that we want. I'm using the graphics editor that I use of choice, and that is Photoshop Elements, but you can use whatever program that you're used to using. Let's take this graphic. We're going to change the canvas size. We want to do it in pixels. Right now it's 400 by 381. We'll just make it wider because we want to put some more information on there. So we're going to change that to 800. We'll keep the height the same, and we'll go ahead and say, okay, we have a larger canvas. What we want to do is we want to take the image and move it over to the left so that we can put some text over here. Since this is going to be our signature for our emails, we want to add text, and we want to use the name John Jones. We will move it in just a moment. We'll go to the next line. We'll say his email is jj1234@gmail.com. His phone number is, we're going to say okay. And now we're going to take that and we're going to move it over here. We're going to say we want to write justify, and then we'll have to move it again. Okay, this will be our signature. So let's go ahead and file and save as. We're going to save it to the desktop just so we can find it quickly. We're going to call it John Jones Signature. We'll save it as a PNG, and we have our graphic for our signature. How to set up a signature in Gmail is another lesson, but let's take a look at having it set up. I hit compose. I'm ready to have a new message, and my signature is already there with that graphic that we got from blush.design. This has been Website of the Week number 15. I'm Hewie Poplock. Tell your story with illustrations, blush.design. A little fun thing to do.
Yeah, that was cool. So listen, just hold on now. That first image that you downloaded, what was up with all the hair on top? You came up with a bunch of a bunch of hair. You said that looks just like me.
My forehead is a little bit farther back than that one, but they didn't have one with a receding hairline.
Okay. Hey, so now the other one was that it's transparent, eh? Like the image that you downloaded.
Yeah, and if I saved it as a JPEG, it would not be.
Oh, okay. So you have the choice there when you download it. You can either do it as transparent or not transparent. Okay. Very good. Thanks so much. That's going to be a fun one to use. Yeah, that's cool. Bob, are you ready to roll?
Your medical device been hacked? Roughly a third of all connected devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that makes them ripe for exploits. My thanks to David Strom for his excellent article on this topic. You can read the whole article at the link listed. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and get involved. Last week, the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center issued a public warning concerning that they have identified an increasing number of vulnerabilities posed by unpatched medical devices. They stated that these devices, such as insulin pumps and pacemakers, are running outdated firmware. They also lack adequate security features, meaning that hackers could change device settings and create dangerous conditions for the patients who literally depend on them. All of this isn't a new problem, but the FBI notice is a good reminder of how law enforcement might focus its attention on this area. The warning brought to light several issues that are unique to this particular industry. First, many devices are often used for more than a decade, while their firmware isn't often updated, if at all, and patches are far and few between. Many hospitals and medical practice groups aren't proactive with maintaining the software environment, or don't even consider this a part of their responsibility. And about a third of all connected devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that makes them ripe for exploits. The FBI noticed a series of cybersecurity reports that illustrate how dire things have gotten. Many devices have multiple vulnerabilities, and 40% are near their end-of-life stage. Earlier this year, security researchers discovered that more than 100,000 infusion pumps were susceptible to 2 known vulnerabilities that were disclosed back in 2019. The FDA recalled these pumps or components 16 different times over the past 2 years. Another report released last week found 89% of healthcare professionals surveyed have experienced at least one cyber attack in the last year, and many of these attacks caused treatment delays. The FBI isn't the only federal agency concerned about this issue. Last year, we wrote about the Food and Drug Administration's cybersecurity efforts and interviewed the then interim director of medical device cybersecurity, Kevin Fu, who has since returned to academia. Fu was recently interviewed earlier this summer saying device makers have to choose to improve. He was quoted in that piece, where he also bemoaned the lack of operational technology medical device cybersecurity experts. We have to help not just manufacturers, but also regulators and healthcare delivery organizations to get access to this specially trained talent. In April, the FDA updated its guidance for medical device cybersecurity, a document that was last published in 2018, along with creating a November 2011 playbook for threat modeling suggestions for the device makers. To help improve cybersecurity, we have written about various medical-related phishing and identity-based scams, and have other suggestions to stay vigilant. Back to the FBI notice. They issued several common-sense recommendations, including using antivirus and other endpoint protection software, encrypting traffic coming and going to the device, changing to stronger passwords, and using policies that detect potentially exploited devices. Also, medical providers should perform regular vulnerability scans across their operational IT network before connecting any new devices. These warnings and security measures apply to all medical devices, including those you use in your home daily. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at car crash protection on your iOS device. I'm sorry, on your Android device, specifically the Pixel device. Setting up car crash detection on your Pixel phone. Let's get started. Start by opening up Settings. And once they open, use the search box and simply search for Emergency, and you'll see something that says Safety and Emergency. Select it. You'll now see something called Car Crash Detection. Select it. Car Crash Detection. This helps your car detect when you're in a severe accident, and it can report your location to 911, something that's available in my Pixel phone and something that I think everyone should have turned on if their smartphone allows that detection. So let's select it as on, and this tells you that Pixel uses your device location, motion sensor, and ambient audio to detect a car crash, even when the app is closed or not in use. Keep in mind, Pixel may not be able to detect all crashes and might impact activities, and high impact activities may activate car crash detection. So if you have a severe fall or slam your phone against the wall, it's possible that it would detect it as a car crash. If you need help, doesn't really matter. Select OK. Car crash detection is now turned on. Let's try a demo so you know what it's like if this should happen. Hit the start button. It's buzzing.
Car crash detected. Say, emergency, to call 911 now. Otherwise, say, cancel.
Cancel.
You said, cancel. Emergency call canceled.
Now you can still report a minor crash, no crash, and you can still select to call 911. With this turned on, gives you some extra peace of mind and a way to protect yourself if you should be involved in a car crash. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps.
Two things you don't want to do, and that's test the 911, and the other is test a crash.
So, Bob, will it work on my bicycle when I'm riding around on my e-bike?
If you have the Pixel phone and you crash, probably, because the impact should be hard enough, provided you fall hard enough. As I said, if you take your phone and you slam it up against the wall, it's going to detect a crash if you have it turned on. It isn't foolproof, and there might be some instances where the crash just isn't severe enough, and it's not going to detect it as a crash. But it's better than not having any protection.
Bob and I both have the Pixel 6, and this,
it also works on the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4, 3.
Right. But it's going to be hopefully rolling out to all Android phones.
Correct.
That's what Google says.
Right.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
We will now, before we get ready, before we get to your segment, I just want to say goodbye to everybody over on YouTube. Thank you for coming. Don't forget, if you want to come over and participate in the Q&A, pop over now. We have lots of room. We'll let you into the meeting. And if you, otherwise, we'll be here same time, same place next week. Don't forget about our premiere service. We'll be starting in 1:30. I put the links in the chat. Okay, Ray, I'm just going to stop the live feed and you take it away.
Okay, it's been so long since I've done this. I hope I can remember how. Okay, the David Bowie movie, Moon Age Daydream. So last week I went with family and friends to see the new David Bowie biopic. It's titled Moon Age Daydream, and that is the title of a song on his 1972 album with the very unusual name, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Now, this was a concept album where the songs are featured in a particular order with lyrics to express a theme or idea. This album is considered one of Bowie's best works and was selected for inclusion in the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress. Now, shortly after Bowie's death in 2016, now he died of liver cancer, and I can tell you that many of the scenes in the movie show him with a cigarette in hand. After he died, his estate gave director Brett Morgan access to his personal archives of film footage, recorded interviews, and his personal art paintings, which Bowie, when alive, refused to let others see. Now, many of the performances of the movie were shown in what I call the MTV style. And that means it had rapid fire sequences lasting only a few seconds each. I never liked this manner of presenting a singer's performance, as I personally prefer the camera to stay focused on a singer so I can better understand the lyrics and see the emotion in their face. Now, even though I like to listen to music at a loud volume, I can tell you the decibels at times in the theater were almost too much for me. What I did enjoy the most were the interviews where Bowie clearly came across as competent, articulate, authentic, and knowledgeable. In a 1985 interview with MTV executive Mark Goodman, Bowie offers his criticism about their lack of videos featuring Black artists. Goodman offers some feeble excuses, which Bowie politely and intelligently challenges. At the end of the conversation, after Goodman attempts to make his points, he asks the question, "Make sense? Valid point?" And Bowie simply responds, "I understand your point of view." Then he gives a little chuckle. Now, in addition to his musical career, Bowie somehow found the time for other pursuits. He appeared in numerous films, television shows, and theatrical productions. He became a painter and an art collector. From a technology perspective, in 1998, he launched an ISP known as BowieNet. Subscribers to this dial-up service received a BowieNet email address and internet access. The service closed in 2006. Now, the song My Way was a hit for both Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. The lyrics were written by Paul Anka and set to the music of a popular 1967 French song that Anka heard when visiting France. No matter what you think of David Bowie's lifestyle and singing, I think we all can agree that in his lifetime, he did things his way, which often were breakthrough and critically acclaimed events in the music world. All right. Little different.
Wow.
Educational.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. That was great. I mean, it's goes back a long way. Memories, eh?
Oh, yeah.
For sure, for sure. Well, you know, another week has gone by. This is we've just finished the show. It's top of the hour. Thank you everyone for coming. We will of course be moving into our Q&A period now. I've put the link in the chat for the premiere service, which is starting at 1/2 the hour. If you can't make it, you can certainly watch it later on. Once it starts, it plays and is recorded, so it will be there, and you can watch it later on today. We will be here, of course, next week, same time, same place, and please don't forget to watch us on Thursday. The same gang will be here on this Thursday, so we'll be having another show going over all the news of the week. We have, of course, the new Pixel phones coming out and the new Pixel watch, which we'll be talking lots about in the coming couple of weeks. Now, let's as we move into the Q&A, I guess the easiest, if you have questions, just go down to the reactions and put your hand up, and that'll bring you right up to the top, just like Greg did there. And then we know who you are and how to answer your question. Greg, do you have a question for us?
No, it's a comment about ℏ. I think the presentation was really great. Just a suggestion, you might look on YouTube for ℏ videos. I just picked a couple of them up. I got to teach a first aid class, and there might be some other information you might want to add. Just a suggestion. But anyway,
yeah,
good presentation.
Thanks. It's always hard because I have to keep them under 10 minutes. I mean, I could easily make one for an hour, and it just doesn't, you have to make them under 10 minutes. And that's why I asked everyone to watch the first video, because that really sort of sets up the whole thing. If you don't know what a heart is, you don't know, well, you've got a lot of medical knowledge with your, all the stuff you did, but you might be in a situation, you never heard of atrial fibrillation, you have no idea what it is.
Oh, true.
And so, you might not have any clue what I'm talking about. And in that situation, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of time in the video explaining that again, because it just makes the video too long. And so that's why I linked it. The other thing
that's a good point. Your presentation was clear, concise, and right to the point. And I think any person that didn't have a background in it could thoroughly understand it. No,
Yeah,
good job.
thanks. Because I wanted to make it clear. Because if you read the news reports and all the stuff about it, nothing's clear. The other thing is that it was hard for me because if you have a smartwatch, you understand, particularly the Galaxy Watch 4 or the Fitbit Sense, is that you update the apps on the phone. It's not an app on the watch. That they do have, there is software on the watch, but the apps all update on the phone, and then they link down to the watch. So when I sort of say you update the app on your watch, it's not really on your watch, it's on your phone, but it's downloading to the watch. You know what I mean? But if you do that sort of thing, you understand that. But if you didn't, then it might not be so clear. Hewie, do you have any comments?
Yeah, this goes to Ray as well. I seem to remember David Bowie doing a duet with, I thought it was Frank Sinatra, but I just did a quick check.
Bing
And it looks like
Crosby.
it was Bing Crosby, wasn't
Bing
it?
Crosby. Yeah, that was a Christmas show they did. In fact, I
showed that.
showed that some maybe last year around
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, David Bowie was quite a performer.
Yeah.
You love him or hate him, but you got to give him credit for what he was able to do. And he did, like I love to say, he did it his way.
How old was
And
he when
he's
he
on-
passed?
He's on your playlist, right?
I think 70. 68, between 68 and 70.
I always make sure that before your segment starts, Ray, that I am muted, because there's no way I can stop from not singing along, whistling along, and I sure don't want to spoil it for everyone else.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I don't have an Apple Watch, but I'm going to wait for the next version when the watch fixes arterial fibrillation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we're just really at the first stage of this medical technology on, these personal healthcare devices that we'll be wearing. We've talked about diabetes and blood sugar. I mean, this is all coming. This is just the first phase of what we'll see over the next lifetime, really, of more and more intense not biometric, but devices that will be monitoring different parts of your health that you wear, right? And so that's sort of cool. And this is just the first part of what's going to happen. The Apple Watch is, of course, the leader as always, and have the two apps now that just came out with OS 9. So the other thing I would mention to everybody, if you are considering, and half of you probably have iPhones, if you are considering buying an Apple Watch, it is so important that you pay attention to the current models. Like Apple now has, it used to be they had a couple of models and everything did everything, right? But now that's not so. And the new model of the Apple Watch, the SE version, doesn't have the cardiac capability. It doesn't have the sensors in there. So you have to be careful now, because there's so many different models of Apple Watches. You have to be careful what you buy to make sure that you get what you want.
Hey, Ron, I just wonder how many people do you think are going to start relying upon the watch and not actually go to their physician like they really should? That's all it's doing, is telling them to go look at the physician.
Right.
And help.
It's particularly, the important thing is that you're wearing it and it sort of says, hey, you've got atrial fibrillation, go to your doctor and get checked out. And you go to your doctor and you find out, yeah, you have atrial fibrillation and you didn't know that you had it. And that is important to pick up, because those folks will go on and it's a common cause of stroke, right? So what we want to do is pick up atrial fibrillation, people who don't know they have it. Now, for those people who get palpitations in their chest, they get some fluttering, and they do an ECG on the watch, but you have to push the button and it does the ECG and it says, yes, you've got atrial fibrillation. Well, those are people that have symptoms. They have a symptom, you can do your ECG on your watch, it tells you what it is, and then you go to the doctor and say, hey. But a lot of people, as I said, don't have any symptoms. So this is yet another feature that will allow people to stay healthy. And particularly if you're over the age of 60. Is anyone here over the age of 60?
No.
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 If you're over the age of 60, the incidence of atrial fibrillation goes up exponentially. And the other thing you have to remember about atrial fibrillation is that there is specifically just atrial fibrillation, but oftentimes atrial fibrillation can be a worsening congestive heart failure, worsening valvular disease, worsening vascular disease. So it can indicate a sick heart that's getting sicker, right? So it's nice to pick up and go and get checked out. Yes, go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I've got a question for, let's see, my mic's open. For Bill James, what is the command for Windows 11 for doing split screen? I know it's Windows right click with Windows 10, but that didn't work for me on 11.
Oh, Carl, I've forgotten, unless Bob knows right off the top of his head. It is different because they have some new ways of doing it. But right off the top of my head, I don't know. I can look it up and send you, give you the information later if that's okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's fine, yeah. And
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And
Carl,
mention-
what do you have now? Two apps running, and you want to put one on one side and one on the other?
Yeah.
Well, actually,
All right.
yeah.
Your Windows key and the left key puts it on the left side. The Windows key and the right key, the right arrow key puts it on the right side.
But
And then you have your up and down. You can also pin it to the top and to the bottom just by using the window key and then your left arrow, right arrow, or up arrow and down arrow. Those are the easiest things to remember.
Oh, yeah.
And also,
I just tried it. I must have hit the function key instead of the Windows key.
Yeah.
Carl, also the Macs and Windows 11 and the Maximize icon up there in your bar, it shows you several different ways of where you can move the screen to also. But I don't know what the shortcut keys are.
Another quick question. If I'm using extended monitor, can I have a split screen on the extended monitor like with Windows 10? It's for a friend of mine who does a lot of Windows stuff. You can do it just on the extended monitor?
Yeah. Just select that monitor and use the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, go ahead.
Those of us who don't have a smartwatch or a Fitbit or anything like that, on my iPhone, there's health. And all of my medical information is on there. And I periodically go to review the information to make sure that everything is on there. So if I pass out or fall or whatever, they'll have my phone and they can at least know I'm a diabetic, I'm high tension, I have stents. All of that information is on there. So for those of us who not right now interested in a smartwatch or a Fitbit or anything, that's good to know because I'm sure the Android phone probably has the same information.
Yeah, but
Thanks, Jenny. That's good information.
Excuse me. They can't get to it unless the phone's unlocked.
No, that's the information.
No. Emergency information you can get to,
Right.
provided you set it up. Once it's set up, and there'll be another video coming, just like I showed you the car crash thing. The next one I'm planning is to do the emergency notification that your information is there, so that if you have an accident, then they can get to that information. But you have to set it up while you're still kicking. It's too late after you've passed out.
And Jenny brings up a good point. She said, keep it up to date, right? Because we go to the
Correct.
doctor all the times. They change the medicine, and you need to change your health information on the phone, right?
Yeah, we had a good discussion about that on Thursday on the Tech for Senior Live.
Right. That's so
Yeah,
important.
Jim, you just swipe up on your screen. Bob will show you that, and it'll show emergency information. You don't have to have the phone unlocked.
It's just that the paramedics need to know. I did set up the emergency on the my Samsung phone, the Note 9, and
I think the technicians knows these days to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think the paramedics know that. In fact, that's the first place they look. I guess, and the other would be in your wallet. But most, I don't. I think most people put the stuff in their phone rather than keeping it on a piece of paper in the wallet now. Eh?
Some of us have a chain with our information on it.
yeah, I wear a medical alert chain.
Mhm. Jenny, did you have another question, or is you just have?
Yes, well, somebody mentioned Thursday. It is, I can get on YouTube anytime because you just click on in the newsletter and you're right there. But
Right.
Trying to get you on Facebook is almost impossible. And because I can't chat on YouTube. I'm not a YouTube member and I can't chat on there. I can watch, I can hear, but I can't chat. And so you need, because all the information is on Facebook, why don't you have a direct link for us to be able to get to it as you have the direct link to get us to YouTube?
There is. I will look that up. It should be on our webpage. I'll show you that in just a second. But it
Thank
should be
you.
there. Yeah, it should be. It's just a website.
And
But
when
Jenny,
we,
all you to
when
get to
we are on
YouTube,
live, just go to the Facebook page and we'll be there. If you go to the Facebook page, our Facebook page, when we have a live thing going on, it's there.
So
Yeah, and
let
Jenny,
me
you
just
don't-
let me sorry, hold on. Let me just share this. Let me just share the share my screen here. Can you see that it says follow us on Facebook right here, right? And Jenny, if you look down here, you'll see the links right here. Okay. Can you see that, Jenny?
Yes, thanks.
So it's right here on our webpage, and right underneath there is the link. If you click that link, it takes you right to our, that's exactly where we'll be. Okay. And that's where all the information is. It's right on our webpage.
Okay, because there's somebody else also has had a problem trying to get to you on Facebook, so I knew I wasn't alone. But thank you for that.
There, it's right there for you. Okay, thanks. Mead, go ahead.
Yes. At our last Air Force reunion, they gave us a clean hat and a lanyard. And during the pandemic, you don't dress, you just wear sweats, which don't have pockets. So the lanyard, I have a little wallet, I guess you'd call it, for lack of a better word, and I have my emergency services information on my pacemaker. Now, if there's anything you don't want to recall on, it's a pacemaker. My first one lasted 2 years. It's supposed to last 9 or something like that. And I've had emergency service personnel stop me and say, I wish more people would do that, because the last thing they want to do is, if you got a crash at night in the rain and they're standing there in the middle of the road going through somebody's wallet trying to find out what they need to know so that they can get it into the hospital. So just a heads up on that. That's all I have. Thank you.
That's a good point. Thanks so much. Carl, go ahead.
Bob, what's the command to get out of split screen?
Windows key, and then your right and left arrow or top and bottom arrow. Depends on where you want to put that screen. And you do this. If you have one screen and you select the left arrow, then you select the next screen and you use the right arrow. And then one will be on one side, one will be on the other.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, how do I get out of the split screen mode? I just was playing around with it and I'm stuck in there. I tried to escape, it doesn't work.
Oh, didn't we just go over that?
Just move the window.
Oh.
Grab the bar at the top and just move it towards the
And that
center.
breaks it. Yeah.
And it breaks it up.
All right.
Okay,
It is got it, Carl. Great. Thanks. All right. I want to thank everyone for coming today. It's our great show today. Thanks everyone for participating. We will of course be doing our Thursday show, and so we'll see everyone there. Thanks. We'll be here same time, same place next week. Don't forget the premiere service today I'll be talking on actually the first video you needed to watch before you saw the video today. So it'll be playing. And then he was going to talk on screen size and font size. And Bob's going to tell us what a GPN is. I have no idea what, but Bob's going to tell us what a GPN is. All right. So we'll see everybody either on Thursday or next week. Stay safe, and Hewie, good luck with the hurricane. We wish you.
Yeah,
We do
stay
wish
safe.
you
And there's a
guys
whole
that
bunch
are-
of us on here. That,
Yeah,
that are
all you in
concerned
Florida,
about
our
us.
hearts go with you. Please
Yep.
stay safe.
Don't get blown
and
away.
hopefully we'll see-
I got a nephew who lives very close to you, Hewie, so
Well, if he flies by, I'll wave to him.
good. Stay
All right.
Stay
Bye,
safe,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.